I would like to shift, because we are overdue a little bit with time, and before we shift to a new session, I would like to invite our potential partner and good, strong partner in the project, Talant Sultanov, who is a digital development specialist from World Bank. Please share with us case studies on ICT co-deployment with other infrastructure blueprints. The floor is yours. 4 minutes if possible. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Aida. I will try to make it as fast as possible. My presentation is called How Infrastructure Sharing Can Support Digital Development in Central Asia. But then I thought there could be an alternative title for the presentation called How Can Countries Save Millions of Dollars and Years of Time While Building Fiber Optic Lines. Next slide, please. Many people are asking today, is fiber optic lines even relevant, given the satellite internet, the 5G internet? And here I am using a slide from Professor Haruo Akamura's presentation, where he says that we actually need more and more fiber. Even developed countries need it. And 5G and fiber is not competing technologies, but complementary technologies. And I'd like to mention that I actually met with Professor Akamura at the UNS Cup event a couple of years ago, and we are continuing our collaboration thanks to UNS Cup. Next slide, please. So if we look at Central Asian statistics, I'm not going to go over all these charts, but the message here that in Central Asia, internet statistics are lagging behind global averages in terms of quantity, quality, speed, and the price. And yesterday we had a massive, unprecedented blackout in Central Asia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan. And when we asked people about this, of course, people were concerned that there is no electricity, there is no even heat at some places. But people were really concerned that there was no internet and no communications because they couldn't check on the status of their relatives. So internet is extremely important. Next slide, please. The previous speakers mentioned that Janat and Dulgun, how landlocked mountainous countries face difficult challenges, and building fiber optic infrastructure in mountainous countries of Central Asia is really costly and time consuming for objective reasons. Our countries are far from the sea. The climate gives us only a short construction season. It's difficult terrain like in Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, vast distances like in Kazakhstan, or Uzbekistan is double landlocked country. And at the UNS Cup event a couple of years ago, there was a presentation by ITU, I think, which stated that building fiber optic infrastructure in landlocked mountainous countries is the most difficult in the world. And as you know, United Nations declared this year as International Year of Mountains, and hopefully together we could, promote the agenda of infrastructure sharing and co-deployment in mountainous countries. Next slide, please. So it's not only objective reasons, but also subjective reasons which lead to, costly and time-consuming infrastructure development in ICT. So in this picture, you see on the top of the hill, 3 competing mobile operators have 3, infrastructure facilities next to each other. Next slide, please. And in the next picture, you can actually see how fiber optic lines are being put on poles, and 2 parallel cables are running on 2 different sets of poles. So this shows how private sector operators cannot cooperate without the involvement of the government, with active involvement of the government that would encourage all the players in the market work together and actually save time and resources and money. Next slide, please. So what is required is actually better policies and regulations, like a policy called Dig Once. And this is a slide which I borrowed from John Garrity's presentation, which shows a picture in Bishkek, where there used to be perfectly nice road in this area, laid just 2 years ago, and then they dug it up because they had to put some additional infrastructure. And this way the road stayed for 3 years. It's now there is asphalt, but I am confident that they didn't put the internet cable in it. But we need to realize that putting internet cable, the biggest cost is not the cable, but actually digging. And the longest time, it's actually getting all these permits to do the works. And there is one good example in Afghanistan. 10 years ago, they adopted a law regulation that says in any infrastructure projects, be it a road, energy, anything, there has to be internet cable included. And there is a World Bank road construction project that did the co-deployment of internet cable with the road construction. Next slide, please. So in addition, we need to, in addition to dig once policy, we need to encourage infrastructure sharing. This is another case where mobile operators are building towers next to each other, or when they could use one tower and put their antennas. Next slide. And what's really interesting, this is the same area to give electricity to these towers. They had to build each one different electricity lines and electricity poles. So, this shows how really there are externalities in, the infrastructure building in Central Asian countries. Next slide. And this is actually last slide. And I wanted to mention that not only the government, we shouldn't expect just the government to do this policy and regulation reforms. I think the donors need to coordinate and help the government to build infrastructure and co-deploy infrastructure. Because even within development organizations, maybe there is missing cooperation, and between development organizations, I think there need to be more collaboration. And in the World Bank in Kyrgyzstan, there are at least 3 infrastructure projects that are, currently doing the joint co-deployment of infrastructure. It's Digital Central Asia, South Asia project, which brings internet connectivity. It's CASA 1000 electricity project. You can see on the lower right corner the map of the CASA 1000. And it's Central Asia Road Links projects, CARS 3. It's a series of projects which connect Central Asian countries to each other. And in some of these sections, there is consideration of putting fiber optic lines along these infrastructure projects. And last slide. This is the concluding slide, and we'll be happy to have follow-up discussions afterwards. Thanks so much, Aida.